of the complexity of it, and we've seen the shift now where it's become much more of a political terminology. How is that? Actually, let's focus on that for a moment. How did it become so politicized?
Well, there are different ways of looking at the history, but what I've concluded is that the civil rights movement was the necessary precondition for this politicization in this way. Before the civil rights movement and then the legislation in the mid-1960s and the Supreme Court decisions earlier, white evangelicals in the North were Republican overwhelmingly. White evangelicals in the South were even more overwhelmingly Democratic. Once the civil rights legislation and judicial decisions take place, segregation is ended. And eventually, most white evangelicals say that that's a good thing. There's resistance in the early stages and some that continues, but not too much. But once you have the division in the American white evangelical population removed, segregation, then it's possible to have a national white evangelical mindset. So it's not at all surprising to me that within a generation of the ending of governmentally approved segregation, you have, as you referenced already, some Republican leaders in the era of Ronald Reagan saying, can we mobilize white evangelical constituency for Ronald Reagan? And there are white evangelical leaders from around the country who are getting active in a historically evangelical way in saying, if we believe the gospel, we have to believe certain things about how life in the world is to be carried out. And you have some very, very famous instances of people like Jerry Falwell, who early in his preaching career says, we don't want to be involved in politics. We want to focus upon the promise of the second coming. But then lo and behold, by the late 1960s, 1970s, it's really important that if you believe in the gospel, you have to get involved in politics in this way. Well, you really can't have a national movement energized by such ideas if you've got a stark political division between white evangelicals who support the Democrats, white evangelicals who support the Republicans. But after the ending of segregation, then Republicans make gains in the South. There is this opportunity for a national movement, and you get what is a white national political constituency that eventually will be the most reliable constituency for the Republican Party. And now here comes more complexity. At the same time, over the same period of years, the most consistent American constituency for the Democratic Party are African Americans. And among the African Americans that make up that most Democratic constituency is a huge number of African Americans who, on religious characteristic terms, are evangelical. So the two groups in modern, recent American political constituencies that are most clearly identified with the political party are both evangelical groups. One black for the Democrats, one white for the Republicans. And that's why, if you keep these race constituencies in mind, it seems to me why the precipitation of what you've just described begins with the national civil rights activities of the 1960s.